Welcome to the Voice of Many podcast show with Yolanda and Vanessa.
Thank you and good evening. Thank you for joining us, everyone. A few of you know about 6 months back, I made a total life change for the better. So now I'm a vegetarian. I started my plant-based journey, which has been exciting and excellent. Um, but my why for making this change was due to family history. Um, my father's illness, just being able to actually witness what um, health deficiencies can do to your body, especially when it's a loved one, when it affects the heart and the mind, it makes you want to change. And you want to change now instead of waiting until you get older. So, well, tonight we have the pleasure of introducing you to a wonderful guest. She is a successful entrepreneur. She's culinar- um, a culinologist, um, and she's an author. She's a whole food plant-based wellness advocate. But most of all, she's a mom. She's a wife, and her nutrition knowledge and her culinary skills um, are that which are unmatched. And we just want to educate you in what she has to say, um, the information that she's going to be able to give you, and to just sit back, pen and paper, and just listen and take it all in. So we want to present to you this afternoon the one and only Miss Dawn Hilton Williams, founder of Herban-Eats. Welcome, Dawn. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ladies, Yolanda and Vanessa. I'm gonna have to bring you with me every time I have a show. That was such a wonderful introduction. I don't know how if I can live up to all that, but I appreciate it. Hope you
Um,
guys are doing well today. Thank you for inviting me in.
we're doing great. Thank you for joining us. And like I say, it's a pleasure to have you. And those of you watching, those of you listening, please, again, I cannot re-emphasize enough. Take time to get your paper, pen. I want you to come with an open mind and listen to the knowledge that Don has to pour into your life. So, Don, if you will, please tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Okay, you did such a good job, Yolanda. I'm gonna see if I can follow up. Okay, I am Dawn Hilton Williams. I am a cookbook author of a vegan cookbook called Flavor My Plate: Your Tasty Vegan Guide to Health Wealth. I am a health coach, a whole food plant-based certified health coach, and a chef, and the founder of a company called Herban-Eats, which focuses on radicalizing wellness with food products and services that are focused specifically on Black and Brown community health and health wealth, because that's a community that typically gets ignored. When although we lead in all the top chronic diseases, you don't normally get talked to about how to bring about change. So I'm one of the people out here trying to do that.
Thank you.
So, what led you to become a advocate?
So Vanessa has the cheat sheet, guys. But Vanessa and Yolanda already know. So my husband had a health scare. My husband, Anthony, we've been married 12 years. He had a health scare, two of them. One was heart flutters, which can be very scary, and high cholesterol. So we went to a cardiologist and went there, and they were busy looking at watches, looking at comparing watches, crazy men stuff, instead of taking seriously the health scare. And you have to wear the heart monitor for a couple of days to see if you have the flutters. Well, guess what happens whenever you go to take your car in or you have flutters? When you wear the monitor, nothing happened. So that kind of went away. And the cardiologist kind of said, oh, well, nothing showed up on the monitor, so I guess you're okay. Just watch your cholesterol intake. Okay. So that wasn't the health scare that brought me to the plant-based lifestyle. I'd already seen Forks Over Knives, and I was already in the food business, meal preps and catering. But what brought us there, I'm gonna be very graphic, so don't feel. So my husband had blood in his stool for 3 weeks. So that was about 2 months after the heart flutter scare. And that and of course, if you all have husbands or significant others, guess what he told me? Week 3. He didn't tell me right away.
Oh.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
They think it's like they don't want, like, ignore it, it'll go away. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, sir, no, sir. So anyway, he tells me because he's scared about week 3. Like the third time, week 3, he tells me, so that I'm immediately, I know what it is. I know what it could be. I know what the signs of that are: prostate cancer. So my immediate thought was to go downstairs in the kitchen, personal kitchen, and throw away all of the butcher wrapped paper, expensive, quality, grass fed and organic meats and products of dairy. I just literally took the trash can and scooped it all into the trash can because I'd already seen forks over knives. Mm-hmm. And then we went and got a gastro and checked and checked on what was going on with them. And that same week, I signed up for a course at Cornell University in New York. It's the Cornell Whole Food Plant-Based Nutrition Certification Program. And I signed up for that. And the health scare, which is a scare, there was polyps, but it didn't matter that it was polyps. We'd already changed. I was already done. I was like, we don't do this anymore. This is increasing your risk factor. I didn't even know for sure. This is just, I'm going to tell you, God told me to do it. It was a voice, what it was said, enough. So I just went downstairs, started throwing stuff away, and his fear. And I said, we need, and so again, it was an opportunity to be the voice of change. And I got to learn, find that certification program. And after that, it was no turning back.
Wow. But he's better now.
Polyps, it wasn't even, so here's the thing. That's how it works. You're thinking, I was worried about cancer. And for many people, that's a reality. That could have been a diagnosis. But in this case, it was polyps, which passed. Like hemorrhoids. Polyps are like hemorrhoids, for those who don't know what polyp, right? So they'll pass. But the thing is, it could have been cancer, and we could have been in a situation that's very different. So literally, that changed our lives. That health scare changed our lives. It was scare. It wasn't an actuality. It was a scare. But it's enough of a scare to make it our why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that why is life-changing. No matter how you look at it, it's life-changing.
Absolutely, Yolanda. If you don't have a why, you won't change.
So tell us, what do we need to do in order to make that life change? Not just for us, but for our generation.
Right. So what we need to do is stop looking at heart disease and cancer and diabetes as some kind of family trait, like hereditary. It's not hereditary. It's in your genetic code. So learn that genetic coding doesn't mean that the light switch is gonna come on, right? Just really, we need to learn and educate ourselves about the whole food plant-based lifestyle, because it'll help you reverse your risk factors for our top chronic diseases by up to 90%. That's better than any statin they can give you in a hospital setting. Statins give you about 33%, 35% if it's a good one. But you're not going to get up to 90% reduction of risk factor. And then it also helps you to reduce and reverse. So education is the first thing. We have to find solid, peer-reviewed education. And there's plenty of it out there. Nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Milton Mills, plantbasednation.com. There's lots of free resources to get us educated. And the reason is because we should do it is because African Americans lead in heart disease, cancer, most cancers. We have the shortest survival rate of cancer and the highest rate of cancer. And we're only 13% of the population. I don't know, but we lead in obesity, we lead in all the top chronic diseases, and we have the shortest life expectancy. So what we need to do is take control of our health by taking control of the education and making those changes. A lot of information I get, ladies, is about it costs too much to be vegan. It costs a lot of money. No, if you go buy Beyond Meat and all that stuff, it is expensive. But why don't the vegetable? It doesn't cost anything for some collard greens, and some brown rice, and that's not expensive. And some turnips and some sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes. These are not expensive things.
Right.
These you'll actually save up to $5,000 a year by changing to a whole food plant-based lifestyle. Up to $5,000 a year. Couldn't we both use that? Can we all use $5,000 that we could use toward our savings or to our trip, a trip for our family? But instead, we're spending it on food that's killing us, and this, literally promoting chronic disease in our bodies. So we need to educate first thing off.
And then too, I learned, and Vanessa was there. I ended up in the hospital one year on her birthday. I went to visit her in Biloxi, celebrating her birthday on the day of her birthday. I came down. I have cellulitis, so it just triggers at any moment. And at that point in time, my temperature was over 103, but I ended up staying in the hospital for a whole week. Just over that scare. And then the nurse, she came and she sat with me and she said, "You're too young to be going through this over and over." She said, "The best thing I can tell you right now is to leave all processed meat alone." She said, "Because it's killing you. It's not just killing your skin underneath, the tissue underneath, it's actually killing you." But me, no, I didn't listen. But then the best wake-up call was seeing my dad, witnessing him have 2 heart attacks. I'm there to see him in North Carolina, but yet and still while I'm there, he's on the 3rd floor in the hospital. I leaned over the bed because I'm in stomach pain, and I ended up on the 1st floor having surgery. They have my gallbladder removed. So like the wake-up call just kept coming over and over, but I failed to listen. So this time around, I said, okay, it's time for a change. I want to be able to see my grandkids get older. I want to see my great grandkids. But if I don't take care of this shell, it's not going to do any good. So
absolutely right.
And that's what, like I said before, we're after educating and bringing awareness and knowledge to people of color. Can say if the color ranges on the rainbow, all colors, that what we're doing to our bodies is we're actually killing ourselves, without having a gun in our hands, without having a knife to our throat. What we're putting into our bodies is actually really killing us. And it's time to step back and say, hey, observe what we're putting inside our bodies.
Well, the reason there's a little confusion about it, Yolanda, and I'll say is because of the marketing. The chicken is the other white meat. Chicken is allegedly more healthy than the pig, but it's not. It has the same amount of cholesterol as beef. The same amount of cholesterol. It's a very fatty piece of meat, even when it looks like it's not. It's a lot of marketing that makes us not clear about what is healthy. That's why, Yolanda, education is important. There is a gun in our hand, and the gun is the fork and the knife. So yeah, we're not putting the gun to our head. The fork and the knife the forks over knives. That's why they need the forks over knives. Choose the fork over the knife. You don't need to cut a vegetable like that. You need to cut meat. So really, the gun is always loaded because we have these predispositions through our DNA, right, to things that with the light switches off. They don't come through the chamber and shoot out of the chamber until you eat something that promotes its progression, right? So we just need to understand the progression of disease in a very 101 way. We don't need to become scientists and doctors. We just need to understand nutrition. And we don't know where to get that information. So that's why it's important what you two are doing by providing programs and platforms like this for all colors, but specifically for me, for our community, because we are the most disproportionately impacted by COVID and all the top chronic diseases because of our diet and our lifestyle decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing is very important, and I appreciate what you're doing. And I'm so sorry to hear about your dad and what you've been going through, but I'm so glad you made the change. It's hard to make a change because it starts here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you need a why. Your why came several times.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doesn't have their why yet. So what I say in my cookbook, I have all the sections of my cookbook have our greatest why. And you know what the greatest why in the cookbook is? Pictures of our children. I have children from all these farms, and they're all African-American children working at farms. Our greatest why is our legacy, our children. What are we leaving behind for them? Why are we leaving? You know, we're leaving them early. We're leaving them abruptly and early, and they're actually getting fatty streaks in their heart at 10 years old. They're having early heart disease at 10 years old with fatty streaks in their heart because of the things they're putting in their mouth. Families don't mean any harm by it, but it happens every day. That's why we got to educate. Processed meat kills. It's a class 1 carcinogen, but so does chicken. So does chicken. So dairy is very damaging. It promotes cancer growth, abnormal cell growth. So these are just the things that are really out there that we can learn by going to nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Milton Mills, Plant-Based Nation, my website, urban-eats.com. I have a lot of free resources. My cookbook, in the front of the cookbook, it's not just 100 recipes or whatever. It's also the first 6 pages are education. And it's not the kind of education that makes you go like this. Like, why are you doing this? I'm not in med school. Like, it's very straightforward. Like, how much protein do I need? Why, where does protein come from? Protein comes from plants. Animals don't make protein. Animals eat protein. These are the little things we don't know. But I didn't know that until I became vegan. I thought protein came from the chicken. I thought it was inherently a natural form of chicken or some animal, but it's not. They eat it just like we do. So why take third-party protein? We can just have it direct from the source. The third-party protein.
So much.
There's so much.
Mm-hmm. So much.
And there's no fiber when you eat animal because they take the fiber in. You don't get it. It comes out when they're, definitely using it, in their life cycle. You only get the protein, but you get used protein. Again, the higher quality protein is that of the direct source, the plant. And then you'll get the fiber as well. There's just so many little wonderful, it seems dark, like we're in a dark place in the conversation. But the truth is, this is all beautiful light. This is all light because it's enlightening us, because it can help us to be better to ourselves. Like you said, taking care of that shell. Mm-hmm. It's our responsibility to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
If you don't do it, I mean, you can't expect a doctor who had no nutrition training to tell you about your health. A lot of times we ask our medical physicians about health. They only 27% of medical schools in the United States offer a single course of nutrition. So that means 73% of medical schools have 0 nutrition courses.
That's wild.
And then who do we ask about nutrition? The doctor. The doctor doesn't know any better. If you have a broken leg, you need to talk to the doctor. If you need some kind of specific pill, you talk to the doctor. If you need to know about nutrition, do not talk to the doctor.
Because they're going to throw the pills at you.
Because they're okay. This is the effect. I'm gonna deal with the effect. The causation is not my concern. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know what nutrition is. I didn't have to study it. I took 4 years of medical school. I had 0 hours of study. Now, there are 27% of medical schools that got 1 course. It was a 20-hour course. And guess what it was on? The Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle is how food is broken down in your system. It has nothing to do with nutrition. It's how the food breaks down chemically in the body. So that's the 1 course the 27% of medical schools had.
Well,
so you've got to do it.
I'm going to get a little graphic. I used to always take, and Vanessa knows, I would always take a laxative because the food would not digest and come out. You get that bloated feeling. And I have to say, with the transition, the bloated feeling has gone away.
Right.
And I get so excited. I know people gonna think I'm crazy, but because I tell Vanessa, I said, well, your food really, whatever you eat on day 3, it passes. Um, whatever you eat one day is gonna pass on day 3. And I said,
Okay.
it's so exciting to be like, okay, I know it's actually cycling through my body correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have all the poisoning. You're not trying to digest something that's dead and been recomposed and transcomposed just to come through your body. You don't have to worry about it. Your body doesn't have to break all of that down. So the whole process of the digestive system totally changes.
It's not the process, it's the process time that changes. The
Okay.
processing is still the same
Yeah.
because the body does what the body does. But it takes one day versus 3 days. Meat
Mhm.
takes, it's, it's a decaying, it's decaying. So it's
Right.
rotting, it's rotten, it's decaying, it's hot in there, 98 degrees in your body. It's hot and decaying. Imagine how that smells when they open, ooh. So yeah, rotten meat just dying and, going through your intestinal tracts, leaving behind all manner of trace material.
Mhm.
And guess what you do 3 hours later? You put some more in. Your body never gets time to heal and recover. So that's why you were taking those laxatives. And it does take 3 days if you're eating food that is hard to break down.
Mhm.
We're not natural carnivores, as Dr. Mills would say.
Right.
We don't have the jaw structure or the intestinal fortitude of a lion. We have the intestinal fortitude of a gorilla or another just an animal. Our intestinal tract is not built for that. Our intestinal tract is built for, and our jaw structure is built for vegetables. Because if we could, we'd be able to rip a rabbit without cooking it. If we have to cook the meat,
Mhm.
then clearly we're not supposed to be eating it. So you're right. You're right. The digestion, your digestion is very quick. Your bowel movement is properly solid and shaped
Mhm.
in the S or C
Mhm.
versus just a mess, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Being honest, 101 now. We don't,
Hey,
everybody
I
does
just,
this. It's all right.
and I have to say, I mean, your skin, everything just
Your
changes.
skin,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
Your
it's
skin
totally
changes.
different.
Your eyes change.
Hmm.
And what's most important, your health outcomes change.
Yeah.
Your numbers change. Your numbers change. Your cholesterol numbers come down. Your A1C comes down. All the numbers that are important come down,
Yeah.
and that is attributed to a plant-based lifestyle. One of the 7 factors. One of the other factors you need to do is walk once a day, 30 minutes. Moderate, not even a race. You don't have to race. You're not running the 5K marathon. It's just a walk down the corner. 30 minutes there and back. And if you don't want to do it there, go to the gym because it's cold outside. 30 minutes brisk walking, and it's walking. If you want to run, you can. Doing that, not drinking not drinking heavily, not smoking. These things in a plant-based lifestyle, that's going to reverse your risk factors for the top chronic diseases. It's going to give you the protein, the fiber, the nutrients, the phytonutrients, the vitamins and the mineral your body needs to thrive, not just survive, to thrive. And it reverses a lot of diseases. Type 2 diabetes can be reversed, heart disease can be reversed, um, cancer can be reversed, and it's been proven. There's
Hmm.
numerous studies that have proven it. So unless it's a congenital disease, degenerative diseases can be reversed in most cases.
I'll let you jump in, Vanessa.
Yep. Vanessa's like, I can't
Sorry.
talk. These two ladies won't let me talk.
Sorry. It's
Sorry,
fine.
I
Vanessa.
was just
Go
going
ahead.
to say that I've talked to my husband recently after looking all of the recalls on everything
Mhm.
to where it's just, I joked around with him. I was like, we're going to have to start growing our own vegetables and fruit in the backyard because you can't get them from the store or even get meat from the store without something being wrong with it. I was like, it's going to come to where we're going to have to do that. I was like, the kids love fruits and vegetables. So I was like, we won't have a problem there. But it's to where I can't, like recently, beef. beef has had a recall on it. And I'm like, okay, at least we eat a lot of fish. We eat a ton of fish and seafood. We've started slowly getting away from eating a whole lot of meats. We don't fry stuff that often anymore, but it's getting to where little by little, we're like, things are gonna have to change because it's to where you have to now because things are unsafe. I mean, my kids will eat vegan things, like they'll eat their beans, their rice, the vegetables. I can get them to eat tofu and stuff like that too. So it helps. So I don't always have to prepare certain meats. Even a vegan alternative bacon, they'll eat that without a problem. But it's like eventually we're going to have to incorporate it more because it's just becoming, like I said, unsafe for us to do that. And with my eldest daughter, she has her heart was built slightly differently. Instead of having a tricuspid valve, she has a bicuspid valve. Luckily, there's no problems with it, but the older she gets, it can become an issue if things go wrong or develop wrong. So with her, we've been trying to watch what she eats. She exercises. She's healthy, but at the same time, too, I don't want her to eventually have an issue with what she eats. Like, I don't want her to eat too much meat and then, like you said, have problems later down the road. But as to where I've thought about it, we're slow about it, but there's small progress.
But you know, progress is good. But let me just say something about too much versus not too much. Let me just jump in real quick. So there's a study called the EPIC study. It's the European Prospective Institute, EPIC. Look it up. EPIC study. It's a European prospective study. It was a 477,000 person study, right, over a 10-year period, and it was this is been journaled and published. So the people that were in that study over the 10 years, there was a 72% increase in pancreatic cancer from the ingestion of 2 ounces of chicken a day. Daily 2 ounces, that's 2 chicken nuggets. So the idea, so I think there's this, but I think it's great what you're doing because you're watching it. And I'll talk also about pesticides. But just to be really clear, they did a 500,000 people study. That's just shy of the China study number, right? And it's proven that it's a 72% increase in pancreatic cancer for 2 ounces of chicken. 2 chicken nuggets, they're about 1 ounce a piece. So we've got it, and it's very, and I'm going to send you some information, Vanessa. It's very high in cholesterol and fat. And with the bicuspid and the tricuspid issue, I think that definitely you need to stay away from meat and dairy, especially cheese and eggs. So let me address the other thing, the organic thing, the pesticides. Okay. Yes, it'd be great if we could all grow our own vegetables and have a garden and stuff, an urban garden or even a garden in the backyard. But let's be clear. There is a lot of information when you have just get organic. You know, organic somewhere, and it doesn't have to be everything. Like things that have soft skin, like grapes. They need to be organic because they have soft skin, or things that are permeable, like strawberries, right? But a banana, it doesn't have to be organic. It's like hard shell. A watermelon does not have to be organic. And on top of that, you'd have to ingest so much of the pesticides in order for any impact. But the second you eat a piece of meat or dairy, it's an immediate impact of negativity on your body system. It's an immediate trauma to your body system. This is not an exaggeration. So I think that people kind of equate, there's a false equivalency. Oh, there's pesticides on the vegetables. Yeah, but there's Prozac and arsenic in the chicken. The chicken takes a cocktail of 23 drugs a day just to survive the trauma of the chicken farm. You're eating Prozac and arsenic. Arsenic, you would never eat arsenic and put it on your kid's plate. So what we're concerned about, some spray, that, you know, you'd have to eat so much of that to hurt you. So I would be less concerned about that. And if you go to Aldi's, I don't have any relationship with Aldi's, but I do know that they have a lot of organic. I think their whole stores are organic.
Yes.
So just go, and they're very reasonably priced. You don't have to go to Whole Check. I mean, I'm not against them. Whole Foods are great, but you don't have to go spend your money there. You can go to Aldi's or Lidl, whatever it is, and their stores will have all organic vegetables and fruit.
Okay.
So just go ahead and finish what you're saying, but I wanted to jump in on that just to give you some feedback on that.
No, you're good. I completely understand that, because it's more eye-opening now, the fact of all the recalls on like the meat in general. There's more on meat than there is on everything else. And it doesn't make sense that there's so many recalls on meat where there's stuff in it. Like right now on Coke and Kool-Aid and stuff like that, they're recalling it because now it has shards of glass in it. So I'm like, at this point, I told my husband, it's like, you might as well just switch to what I'm doing and just drink water. I was like, the kids, they already drink it. We're going to have to just all keep switching this stuff, because the things that we were eating and the processed stuff is, honestly, it's hurting all of us. Like, if we wouldn't get to the dog, we shouldn't even.
The sound went out for just a minute there at the end. Vanessa, what'd you say?
I was saying the processed meats and things, they're all hurting us. And what I was saying is, if we wouldn't give it to the dog, why should we eat it?
Absolutely. And the thing is, the sodas and things like that, because, you know, it's just easier. I mean, it's just a different nation than when Yolanda and I grew up. Yolanda and I are the same age. So we grew up in a different time, and we didn't know what you all have access to. If we had access to the information you have access to, you're in a really good position to save your family, right? And to make a difference now. Whereas we have to wait until we're in situations where a lot of our friends have passed away and people we know have passed. And we're now coming to this realization because the information is out there and the Google searchable. We didn't have Google. We had Encyclopedia Britannica. we had that, you know, in the library. We had the stats, you know, but you have easy access to information, and we didn't know that soda, high fructose corn syrup, increases rates of obesity and increases rates of diabetes, type 1 diabetes, juvenile diabetes in kids. We didn't know any of this. We just thought it tastes good. We didn't know high fructose corn syrup was like a horrible thing. It was tasty, right? So again, there's so many other ways to enjoy, like not just water. You can do other things other than water. You can, you know, get your own juice, your own stuff. You can make your own lavender lemonade, hibiscus punch. Tastes just like Tahitian treat without the bubbles. You know, it's called hibiscus punch, and hibiscus flowers are very cheap to buy. And or they call them something else other than hibiscus, sorrel. If you're in Jamaica, they call it sorrel. And it is called a sorrel tea, but it reduces inflammation, it reduces headaches, it reduces inflammation, and it helps to it helps with against diabetes and insulin increase. Hibiscus punch, and it tastes just like Kool-Aid, or you know, like a cherry Kool-Aid or raspberry Kool-Aid. There are a lot of things you can switch off for, but I do understand your fear, Vanessa, because your family is so important to you. That's your heart. So you got to take care of them first. And to take care of them first, Vanessa, you got to take care of you. And your husband's going to, wherever you go, your husband's going to, he's going to be like, okay, I'm going to do what Vanessa's doing. So I look forward to getting you some more information, ma'am. Okay. So you can make that change. But you have any questions for me? Any more questions? I can just ramble on.
Well, I would like for you to talk about tofu.
Tofu.
Yes.
So yeah, tofu. There's a lot of there's a lot of confusion out there about tofu. So tofu has been in different, whenever you hear it, tofu has been said it's going to cause cancer. It causes breasts in men and man breast boobs and all this stuff. And I hate to say boobs, but man breasts and all this stuff. And it causes cancer. The reason they say it causes cancer is because of the estrogen in it. It's not estrogen. It's a phytoestrogen, which is a plant estrogen. And a plant estrogen is protective against cancer. So cancer is attracted to the two receptors. There's an A receptor and a B receptor. The A receptor is where the dairy and the milk go, that estrogen, for instance, in the cow, that goes to the A receptor, which turns on cancer genes, turns them on. The B receptor is where the phytoestrogen goes. That's protective against cancer. So tofu is highly protective against cancer. Not to mention it has 20 grams of protein per cup. It's 6 grams of fiber. And it's very good for you. It's very protective against cancer. It is the opposite of what you might have heard, right? So go to nutritionfacts.org. Dr. Michael Greger does a great job of breaking down in a 3-minute video. Just go to his nutritionfacts.org and put in tofu. He'll have an entire little write-up, and then he'll have a 3-minute clip. And they'll talk about phytoestrogens, plant estrogens, and the A receptor and the B receptor cells, and which one's protective against cancer and which one's turns it on. And all dairy turns cancer genes on.
So whenever you and your husband decided to switch and change everything, including with your business, how did that affect your business or Herban-Eats?
That's so good. You watched that video. Listen, it was horrific. The business almost went to the Titanic. It was like an entire destruction situation. So what happened in the 30 days, after 30 days, so I went personally vegan, like immediately. Like it was, I think about, let me see, that I threw away everything. I threw everything away out of the freezer. I gave my clients, I had corporate clients and the personal clients, I gave them 30 days. I said, I have current contracts with you, so I will fulfill those. And that was at the commercial kitchen. So I had food at the commercial kitchen. So I said, not for animal products. So I said, I'll do that. But after this, I will only be doing plant products. And I really didn't even know I was having to restructure my mind around that, because I grew up eating the entree and the sides, not the plant was the center. I didn't have any idea what I was going to be doing. So I'm kind of glad they left me, but I lost 95%. I lost 98% of my clients, actually. Not all in 30 days. I was holding on by a thread in savings for my business. My business was using money, and it was just debits, no credits, just debits. And my clients, they wanted to use me. I had hospital clients, corporate clients, and things like that, nonprofit, but they didn't understand what I was doing. They're like, "What are you?" And it wasn't popular then to have vegan options. And I didn't want to have vegan options. I wouldn't, if like you said, you wouldn't feed something to your dog, you wouldn't eat it to your kid. You wouldn't. So I had no intention of feeding something to my clients that I would not eat myself. So that forced me into a situation where I knew the business was going to, in the short term, lose. But I used that free time to take more courses. And I went to whole food plant-based conferences that had continuing education hours. That's where the ones the doctors and stuff go to. Then the dietitians and the doctors and the nurses and the nutritionists. But you don't have to be a nutritionist or a doctor or anything to go to these conferences. But I wanted to go to the conferences where I knew they would be there, the continuing education courses where they get the CEU hours, so that I knew I was going to a medical grade conference. And it happened to be plant-based. So I signed up for like 3. And then I had that coursework at Cornell, which was a very good program. So it almost like it was an iceberg that hit the business, I should say. But we survived. Unlike the Titanic, we survived and came out better. So it was good. It ended up being a good thing. It gave me time to also write the cookbook, work on recipe development, and trying to figure out how to make the main food. I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of research. I read Colin Campbell's books, Dr. Michael Greger, you name it. Tracy McGuirter with the By Any Greens Necessary. I read almost Baxter Montgomery's book, How to Reverse Heart Disease, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's How to Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, Diabetes book by Neil Barnard. I was like a library. That gave me time. I didn't have any money coming in, but I had time to vegucate.
That was important.
Mm-hmm. It was necessary. I think it was meant to be that way. I mean, I think it was the second I made that decision, I think, the necessary intervention came for me to be prepared to do what I needed to do next.
So with Herban-Eats, can you tell our viewers and listeners exactly about the products and what you're doing for the community?
Right. So Herban-Eats, our urban-eats.com, our product lines are limited right now because I've moved from South Carolina to North Carolina. But what we do is we provide health education. We do virtual cooking classes. We do coaching for those who are transitioning to the plant-based lifestyle or trying to do so. We do um, we do have some limited foods that we ship nationally. Some limited foods that we ship nationally. We do courses for groups and churches. We have a community roots program where we go into communities and provide education at community centers or church groups. And we do vegucation 101 and 102 classes. We offer those as well because and then at those courses you get a tasting. It's not just that you get to take I'm doing a PowerPoint and you get to watch that. You get to eat some food. So there's a food component to it. And it's like not edamame salads and smoothies. It's real food. It's like lasagna and it's real food, but it's healthy. It's healthy. It's not just junk food vegan stuff. It's healthy food. The feed is giving me feedback. I'm sorry. Maybe it's my phone. It's healthy. The feed. You got it? Is it fixed? Okay, we're getting it. But anyway, so those are the things that Herban-Eats offers community. And the things we've done in community during COVID, and even now, I work with a lot of organizations like Maranatha Farms. They do we came together to do something called a Greens and Things Festival. We go into food desert. I call them food apartheid communities. And we bring fresh produce, fresh vegetables directly in from Black and brown farmers. And Black and brown vendors come in and do only vegan food. And it's a vegan farmers market. Like there's food, there's hot food, and there's beverage, and there's education right there. And it's workout stuff. And in Charlotte, what I'm doing is something similar. And my program here will be called Community Roots, where everything will actually be free. There's no cost to the food. There's no cost to anything. But in Greenville, for instance, they take SNAP and EBT. So there's an opportunity for people in the community to buy stuff SNAP with using SNAP and EBT too.
And then too, you have an upcoming event too in April.
Oh yeah, I do. So thank you, Yolanda. Yolanda's like my marketing person. Yolanda, I had to bring Yolanda in now. So we have I forgot to mention one of the things Herban-Eats does is the ED Summit. We do a Eat, Drink, and Disrupt Chronic Disease Summit. It's called ED because that's way easier than Eat, Drink, Disrupt. So the acronym is ED, Eat, Drink, Disrupt Chronic Disease, a Vegucation and FLAVA Summit. And the reason it's FLAVA because my book is Flavor My Plate. Flavor My Plate. And so the FLAVA Summit. So it's a clinical summit that brings in cardiology doctors and big vegan brands. Like I'm not certain if everybody knows Dr. Mills from the What the Health film documentary. He's going to do a piece on reversing type 2 diabetes, the prescription to reverse type 2 diabetes. And then Dr. Baxter Montgomery out of Houston, Texas will do a piece. He'll do his lecture on the prescription for reversing heart disease. And he's been published in journals on multiple reversals. And he'll do a whole program on that. And then we'll have Miyoko's from Miyoko's Butter, Miyoko's Vegan Creamery. She's one of the largest vegan creameries in the world, actually. And she's going to do some information on the power of vegan brands and how they help the environment. And then we just have a lot of good stuff going on. We have chefs coming from all over the country. From Oakland, we got a Chef Chu, who's a food justice advocate and also owns a manufacturing plant. In California, it's called Something Better Chew. And I don't go for all these faux meats, but his are different because they're only 5 ingredients. And he's got a texture adjacent process. So it's not junk. It's really good. And he's an excellent chef. He is excellent. And he sings when he does his little demos. He's good. He sounds like a baritone. It's not Barry White. He's got that voice. And he's got that voice. And then he can cook. He's gonna hurt everybody. He's backed by popular demand. I've done this event before in New York, and I've done it in Greenville, and now doing it again. I had to, and then we have Chef Artina Lindsay. She's an executive chef from Chicago, but she lives in Spartanburg, and she's the executive chef of the hospital system in Spartanburg, and she's vegan. And then we have Chef Julia Simon, who owns Plant Joy. She's the founder of this restaurant called Plant Joy here in Charlotte, and she's also the owner of Nourish, which is a whole food plant-based meal prep company, and she's going to be doing a chef demo. And then we have vendors. All the vendors are Black and brown.
That's awesome.
And they're all vegan.
That's awesome.
Just in case. You ready?
And the next is April the 30th.
Yep, April the 30th at the Greenville One Center in Greenville. We're going to make sure it's a COVID. I'm a pro-vaxxer. I'm sorry. If you're not pro-vax, it's on you. I'm a pro-vaxxer, and the event is pro-vax. We're mask mandating. We're COVID pro-COVID protocols. Okay, we're gonna have someone there from the hospital system there as well to make sure that we have all COVID protocols in play, and we're trying to keep everybody safe. So don't worry about that. We're gonna have sanitation stations everywhere, mask mandated gloves. We're gonna have a little separate seat between you, so you want to sit beside anybody, unless you want to. You're there with your people, you can sit with them, but you can leave a space for the other people. You know, sit with them. So we'll have a lecture hall, and then we have this huge auditorium area, and then the VIP chef demo is in a cafe, a separate area, and that's where you're gonna get food there. So you don't just get to watch them make the demo; you get to eat their food. But that's a VIP ticket.
Okay. And
so
you're going to share that information with us so we can let everyone know about it as well.
Absolutely. I'll share with Vanessa. I have a lot of things to share with Miss Vanessa.
Okay.
So yes, I'll be sharing that by email to Vanessa so she can put it out to you guys. And we do have some apparel, but we have vegan apparel as well, hats and things like that. But you can get all those things. And the second cookbook is coming out hopefully in the summer or spring. It's going to be called Flavor My Tailgate, your tasty vegan guide to game time. That's awesome. We have another cookbook coming out as well. We want to make sure everybody has the tools they need.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And where can our listeners and watchers go to get your products and your book, and especially those tasty looking collard greens on your website?
Yes, so the tasty looking collard greens. So you can order them on Herban-Eats.com, and the cookbook you can get on Amazon or on Herban-Eats. I would say the quickest, or you can go to Oh My Soul, starting at the end of January. Oh My Soul is a vegan restaurant in Charlotte. They sell it there. They'll be selling the cookbook there. But the most accessible and quick way is Amazon.com. Amazon's real quick about getting the book to you. That they print it, they'll get it to you real quick, and I'll get it to you as well. It'll take 4 days. Amazon takes 2 days. And then the greens and those there are items. If you go to the website, you'll see what products we currently have available. And greens is one of the things we have available. Chili, it's a soy chorizo and sweet potato chili. That's for sale. That can be shipped, as well as the collard greens. We don't have a lot of food products in the winter that we sell, but those two I think are on the website right now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and giving us all. Thank you.
I had a ball.
Thank you.
It started off kind of dark, and then we went to the light. But sometimes how it has to happen, right? Sometimes you got to go through a little darkness to get to the light.
That's so true.
So
that's a great way of putting it.
So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And to our listeners, if you have any questions or suggestions, please contact us on our many social media web pages. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And on behalf of our podcast, our sponsors, and our partners, we want to thank you for listening and watching today.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.